Hello, everyone. Welcome to the info session for Girls Who Code, presented by the Idaho Commission for Libraries. My name is Jennifer Redford. I'm a youth services consultant at the Commission, and I have facilitated our partnership with Girls Who Code for, I think, almost 5 years now. And many libraries throughout our state have taken advantage of the resources provided from Girls Who Code through the Idaho Commission for Libraries to do coding clubs in their libraries, to do after-school programs. And I know that our partners over at the Idaho STEM Action Center are also partners with Girls Who Code, so you may have gotten their resources from a couple of different places. I am really excited to introduce Megan Flaherty from the Girls Who Code organization, who's not our usual rep. Our usual rep is Valerie. I think many of you who've been around Idaho for a while know Valerie, but Megan is stepping in today to talk a little bit about the organization itself, how a club actually runs, maybe walk you through what a club meeting would look like, and talk to you about the resources that are available for free for you. If you're looking for a kind of out of the box, ready to go STEM program for your library that relies on your awesome skills as a facilitator, then I think this could be a really good fit, and we're going to learn more about it and talk about it. And I will just go ahead and turn the time over to Megan.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can y'all see it? Awesome. Thank you so much. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time to learn a bit more about Girls Who Code and the resources that we provide to support you and the youth that you work with. I'm super excited to dive into everything that you need to know to get started. And you can use the sign-in link up at the top. I will also drop that in the chat. Let's see. Whoops. There we go. Just so that you can sign in to get a copy of the presentation today and any follow-up information. So let's take a minute to review what you can expect to learn today. We'll start off with some introductions and share who we are at Girls Who Code and our movement to close the gender gap in tech. I'll share some inspiring stories of how clubs are using their new coding skills. We'll then explore our club's program in a bit more detail, and I'll show how you can bring these programs to your own communities and walk you through the sign-up process. And at the end, there should be time for questions, but I also encourage you to ask questions right along the way in the chat. And if I miss them, Jennifer, if you just want to raise your hand or flag for me so I can make sure to answer those. So my name's Megan. I'm an outreach operations specialist at Girls Who Code. As Jennifer mentioned, I'm jumping in for my colleague Val, who is the community partnership manager for ICfL and all of our partners across the Western United States. In my role, I focus on building partnerships with organizations and help share out our free resources. I live in Bend, Oregon, and in my free time, I love doing all the outdoor activities and reading. And I'm super excited to be here today because I actually used to work at the library in Haley, Idaho. So Idaho is a very special place for me. So I'm super glad to be here and step in. I'd love to hear from all of you. If you would like to introduce yourself in the chat, you could share your name, pronouns, the organization you are working with, and then 3 words that come to mind when you think of coding. Now, these could be words to describe a definition of coding or even some of your emotions or feelings about how you feel about it.
I love that you're starting with getting people in touch with what they're feeling about coding. A lot of times there's some apprehension, maybe some excitement or curiosity. And I've found that the more you engage with coding programs, the excitement begins to outweigh the anxiety.
Yes, for sure. And I will get into this further as we go through the presentation, but just so you know, right off the bat, there is no coding experience needed to participate in Girls Who Code. as a facilitator, as a member. So we welcome all the beginners. I'll give folks a minute or so to keep adding. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, hard, complicated, and hard to access. Those things are true. But I hope that after today, and if you choose to join, start a club, you'll see it's not as complicated as it seems, when we first start thinking about it. Hi, Gina.
Thank you.
Yeah. Computers, puzzles, directions, those are great. Yeah. For me, I also think of like language, because we are kind of talking to the computer and telling it what to do. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Hi, Jessica. Details, computers, a lot. Yes, that is accurate. Thank you all so much for sharing, and you can continue to add to the chat. Awesome. Oh, okay. Former software and web developer. That's awesome, Shelly. Okay, thank you guys so much for sharing. And as I said, my goal today is to try to demystify coding so that you can feel confident and ready to start your own club by the end of this. Whoops. So let's take a look. What is coding really? To put it simply, coding is writing commands to instruct a computer to do something in a programming language it can understand. You're simply learning to speak the computer's language. We believe that coding is a great way to teach students valuable life skills. It's an endless process of trial and error to try to get the right code in the right place, and it requires resilience and imperfection. As students work through these challenges, they start to learn that it's okay to make mistakes and to embrace them as learning opportunities, which really helps them remain brave and resilient in the future. Computer science skills are extremely high in demand for employers today. There are over 460,000 open computing jobs across the US that are waiting to be filled, but there are less than 80,000 computer science graduates in the US each year. These jobs will only continue to grow in the future, so this will be important when students begin considering a career. Plus, computer science jobs average a salary of over $100,000. This means computer science could provide transformative socioeconomic pathways for students who choose to pursue this field. And the skills developed when learning to code are highly flexible and transferable. CS is not just for folks who are working in traditional big tech companies. 67% of computing jobs are actually in non-tech industries like fashion, arts, entertainment, medicine, and more. Not to mention, building apps, websites, and programs can really serve as a powerful tool to allow students to combine their passions. These jobs also tend to offer more flexibility in where students work. They can be found anywhere across the country, the world, and of course, remotely. Yet, even with all of these exciting opportunities, not everybody has always been included. Today, less than 1 in 5 computer scientists are women, and even a smaller amount are women of color. This gender gap in technology has continued to widen over the past few decades, and that becomes a huge problem for a couple of reasons. One, when women and non-binary folks are pushed out of this space, they're losing out on these high-paying jobs. And two, we're losing out as a society when companies create new products or programs that don't reflect the diverse perspectives of the world that we live in. And that's where Girls Who Code has come in. We're an international nonprofit leading the movement to close the gender gap in tech and change the image of what a programmer looks like and does. And we do this by providing free computer science programs to students from 3rd grade all the way up to college and career to help them. The possibilities of how we use technology are endless. As I mentioned earlier, 67% of computing jobs are in non-traditional tech fields like medicine, entertainment, education, business, and more. And at Girls Who Code, we challenge you to use technology to get creative and dream big. You can see some of the unique ways that we've used technology here, from creating a visual album with Lizzo for International Day of the Girl, our most recent campaign, the Girls Who Code Girls campaign, where you can create your very own video game character that reflects your image, personality, and abilities, and our collaboration with Doja Cat with the world's first codable music video. And once a student joins Girls Who Code through any of our free programs, they become a part of our sisterhood and they're supported by us for life. Our main program and focus for today is our free clubs program. This will provide you with curriculum, resources, and support for 3rd through 12th grade students. And we also offer summer programs. These are free virtual opportunities for high school students who identify as girls or non-binary. These are offered in either a 2-week summer immersion program or a 6-week self-paced program. These programs will allow youth to learn an introduction to computer science and get an inside look at the tech industry through our corporate partners. We also release downloadable standalone coding activities called Code at Home. These can be accessed directly from our website. And once students participate in our program, they'll get to tap into our exclusive alumni benefits. This includes our Girls Who Code Talks. This is a webinar series. We offer hiring tips, resume support, lots of different strategies. College Loops, which is a program that connects computer science students on campuses, and our hiring summit. And this is where recent graduates can connect and interview for potential roles with our corporate partners. We also have our work prep program. So lots of different resources for our older students. But for today's purposes, as I mentioned, we'll be focusing on clubs. And clubs are a way for you to bring our Girls Who Code resources, curriculum, and activities to your community by starting your own club. In all of our programs, we believe in 3 main pillars of our educational philosophy. That is teaching more than code. So we want students to learn coding and computer science, but also the social and emotional skills that are going to help them in the future. Cultivating a community, or what we call sisterhood, and connecting curriculum to real-world relevance and impact. And although sisterhood is a huge part of our work at Girls Who Code, our clubs program is open to students of all genders, so everybody's welcome to participate. Let's take a look at a few stories from Girls Who Code clubs to see how they are going beyond code. First, we want to shout out one of our amazing Girls Who Code clubs that is part of the Idaho Commission for Libraries Community Partnership. Here we have the Girls Who Code Club at Donnelly Public Library, which is one of the smallest libraries in Idaho. The club facilitator, Sherry, truly embodies the theme of bravery, even in her willingness to dive right into coding. The very first day of her Girls Who Code club alongside her kids was the first time she opened Scratch. She knew nothing about it before then. Now the club meets outside the library because there are too many members to fit the fire hazard of the library building. The facilitator mentioned that they listen to an inspirational video every time they start the meeting. They're finding that from Girls Who Code HQ or the Girls Who Code YouTube page. There are tons of really great videos that have brought up conversations with our kids that are not coding related, but really inspirational. They had a really wonderful discussion about hijabs. And in rural America, I think our kids sometimes aren't exposed to different cultures and norms. And Sherry thinks that rural America needs to be introduced to different cultures in a safe way that allows them to ask questions. Next, let's hear from a Girls Who Code club in Alaska, where students were inspired to create technology to impact their school. And let's see if we have sound. Jennifer, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it? Whoops.
I cannot hear it.
Okay.
You might have to stop share and reshare and check the little sound box
I
at
think
the
you're
bottom
correct.
of the share.
Yes, there we go.
You think that Zoom would have like figured that out
Whoops.
by now?
And that's wrong as well. Okay, bear with me, y'all. We're gonna get there.
This is what we call perseverance.
Yes. Okay.
At the secondary level, many Girls Who Code programs work on projects that benefit their school and community.
We're trying to create a personality quiz for people applying to our school for the different pathways so that they know which pathways they might fit into.
We're definitely looking at what can we do to make our school better.
We want to use the Python coding language to create different questions and tally up a score, and at the end, after the user has finished the quiz, it should show them you got this many points in this pathway and this many points in this pathway.
First I started making an interface for it for the Raspberry Pi program, and now I'm making a media player that I can play things from, either a USB and then be able to transport things into the actual program itself.
During the Girls Who Code summer camp, girls learn about computer science.
So that is just one example of some students in Alaska who are using their coding skills, but we are endlessly proud of our club students and always inspired by their projects and how they're using code to change the world. Next, I'd like you to meet the facilitator and members of Girls Who Code Club in Sartartia Middle School in Texas, and we can learn how this club used code to support their community after Hurricane Harvey. Do something.
One thing I've learned as a teacher is that kids are really passionate about their community.
Emily Gray is one of the sponsors of the Girls Coding Club at Sartartia Middle School.
The girls came to me and said, we want to help children that were affected by Hurricane Harvey. And so we kind of searched different nonprofits.
We came in contact with Children at Risk, and they were like, yes, we would love to be a part of your project.
Our app is called Say Stories About You, and it's a disaster relief app that focuses on giving children a platform.
So you just select the disaster that you were a part of.
It provides a really therapeutic environment for children to share their stories.
Thanks to the partnership with Children at Risk, resources are also offered.
We also have a donations page.
2 years after Tracy and Raina began coding in middle school, their skills and desire to help others are only getting stronger. They're now in high school, developing a new speech therapy app while growing the Say app even more.
Another feature we're going to add is going to be where you can draw your story for younger kids.
They're coding for a cause, hoping to improve lives.
We're just glad that we did everything that we could to help.
And then next we have Lena. She is 17 from the Matatuck Laurel Library Girls Who Code Club. Lena learned firsthand about some of the ways gender impacts teens who are curious about science and engineering in middle school when she was assigned to be the notebook girl on her robotics team. She says she had pretty handwriting, so she was the one assigned to take the notes. When her robotics team traveled to competitions, Lena met other girls who had had similar experiences of being relegated to secretarial duties, such as taking notes in their own STEM classes. She said that Girls Who Code provides her and her peers with a space for like-minded young women and encourages them to create on their own terms. The library club is already focused on making an impact. They're choosing to focus on their local environment, and they're planning to create a website, an app, or a game that addresses the impacts of climate change on their East End community. Another quote, a lot of us have seen different environmental impacts that really aren't talked about a lot with our peers, Lena said. So we're really focused on raising that awareness in this small community. So as you can see, the possibilities are truly endless with what the youth that you work with could create through their coding skills. And now that we're all feeling inspired, why don't we take a look at how you can access the free curriculum and activities to get started? Girls Who Code clubs are free programs for 3rd through 12th grade students to join our sisterhood of supportive peers and role models and use computer science to change the world. In order to cater to the unique learning needs and styles of students in different age groups, we've divided our clubs program into 3rd through 5th grade clubs and 6th through 12th grade clubs. The 3rd through 5th grade program follows a book club model. It teaches beginner level concepts with different hands-on activities. And typically their meetings will usually run for 5 to 10 sessions at about 45 minutes to an hour long. Meanwhile, the 6th through 12th grade program teaches computer science concepts of all skill levels through a flexible plug and play program. Their program will usually run for at least 10 sessions. Their meetings can be a little bit longer, usually between 1 and 2 hours. But for both models, the clubs could be run for a summer, a semester, or a full year. And for all grade levels, you have the option to customize your club to meet more or less frequently for longer or shorter blocks of time. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And most importantly, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is no previous computer science experience required to be a facilitator or a club member. And in addition to ensuring that anybody, regardless of their experience level, can start and lead clubs, our goal is to minimize your prep time. So we provide you with flexible club meeting guides that make it super easy to just take the curriculum and run with it. For the 3rd through 5th grade clubs, each club meeting will consist of 3 main components with an optional opportunity to do a community building sisterhood activity to get the meeting started off. The reading portion of the meeting is then broken up with different chapter guides and activities that encourage students to be brave and resilient as they learn about computer science concepts. Then they'll move into the coding challenges. These can be done on a computer using Scratch or entirely offline. And each meeting ends with a wrap up, and this gives students time for feedback and reflection to help them nurture a growth mindset. You'll see the 6th through 12th grade curriculums made up of some similar components. They also start off with a sisterhood activity. Then they'll move into the Girls Who Code Tech Spotlight. And in this section of the meeting, they get to explore real-life examples of computer scientists and people who are using their skills in a variety of fields. Afterwards, they'll work through the self-guided Girls Who Code project tutorials where they'll get to create their Girls Who Code project. This is where they take their new coding skills to address a real-world problem in the community that they care about. This could be building a website on anti-bullying or a game about environmental conservation. And throughout the club, students will work in coding skills like Scratch, JavaScript, Python, or Swift from Apple. And then their meetings will also end with a wrap up to give that time for feedback and reflection. To start a club, all you need is space in a nonprofit to host the club or the capacity to host your club virtually. We also offer options to run clubs as a hybrid model. So again, lots of flexibility there. Technology and internet are required for each club member of a 6th through 12th grade club, but it's optional for 3rd through 5th grade clubs. Our curriculum's compatible with PCs, Macs, and Chromebooks. iPads are also an option, but can only be used for our beginner self-guided tutorials in the coding language of Swift. And then lastly, you need someone to lead the club. We call that person the facilitator. Facilitators are required to be at least 18 years old, able to pass a background check if they're not an employee of the host site, be available for 2 to 4 hours per week, which includes travel and prep time for the duration of the club. Once you have these things, you are ready to apply and launch your club. So what exactly does it mean to be a facilitator? You can think of a facilitator as part teacher, part role model, and part project manager. You're there to help your club members progress in their coding journey, and you'll be their biggest advocate along the way. The students in your club will look to you to model a safe, fun environment where they're free to take on new challenges, get comfortable with failure, and explore their interests. A computer science background is not required for our facilitators, as you will be able to learn computer science alongside the girls in your club. And what's most important is getting familiar with the lessons before a meeting, setting the right tone, and having fun. Just some more information about facilitators and who could be a facilitator. We have some older students who lead their own clubs. In these instances, it's still required to have a supervisor who's over the age of 18, but the students can take on all of the leadership and responsibilities for the club. Facilitators can also be volunteers as long as they meet our other requirements of being over the age of 18 and able to pass a background check. So no matter the unique circumstances of your club, we're here to help with a robust suite of resources and benefits to support logistics and community building. You'll see some of our most popular resources listed here, including our flexible meeting guides, student recruitment toolkits, and swag benefits. In particular, though, I want to highlight 2 of our most impactful benefits, the $300 Clubs Fund and the Regional Retention Specialist Team. I'm really excited to share that clubs that have 3 or more members enrolled will receive a $300 Amazon wishlist fulfillment. You could use this money to purchase snacks, supplies, or even larger items like tech toys. Additionally, we also pair each club with a dedicated regional retention specialist to answer questions, provide live support. So that could include HQ orientations and curriculum walkthroughs. Let's take a further look at some of these resources. First off is the Facilitator Toolkit. This will serve as your home base for all of your club's needs. This toolkit will support you in preparing, running, and wrapping up your club for each year. It provides access to checklists, training videos, newsletters, and prep guides for your club. Your club members cannot see the materials in the Facilitator Toolkit, making it a place just for you where you can plan and prepare. We encourage you to take a look at what is available in the toolkit and read through the resources after today's webinar. All the other curriculum materials on HQ are within the curriculum page and are visible to club members and facilitators alike. The Girls Who Code Clubs 101 page is a detailed resource that functions as a getting started guide. Here you can find an overview of the club's program and our educational philosophy. As you look through this page, you'll find Launch Your Club action items that you can check off as you set up for your club. There are 2 resources on this page I'd like to call your attention to. The first is our tech specs and system requirements. So this is a PDF. It includes a tech setup checklist, an overview of our coding platforms, any system requirements, and a comprehensive list of websites used in our curriculum. Additionally, our student recruitment toolkit contains flyers, permission slips, info session materials, and more to help you spread the word about your Girls Who Code Club. The other resource we want to highlight is the Plan Your Club meeting guide. This page is replacing the previous hybrid and standard meeting guides, and it has all the materials you need to create a game plan for your club meetings. For each session, we've included a list of goals, a sample agenda, a facilitator to-do list, and a slide deck template that you can copy or download. There's also guidance on how to customize each session. So whether you're a club who has less than an hour to meet, or you're planning to meet for significantly longer, you can make adjustments to fit your needs. And a key resource for new facilitators on the Plan Your Club meeting guide are the club meeting scope and sequences. These are helpful documents that describe what skills and content you may teach and in the recommended order to teach it in. We've provided a scope and sequence for 2 common club formats that you can use to develop a high-level plan for your club. These formats are the standard and bootcamp formats, which I'll share a little bit more about. The scope and sequence documents include the meeting goals, CSTA standards, and recommended agendas and activities for each club meeting. You'll have the option to copy it or download the scope and sequence document so that you could reference it while planning out your club meetings. Now, regarding the standard and bootcamp formats, standard is running your club, throughout a semester or a year, meeting maybe once a week, every other week, once a month, something like that. The bootcamp format is for folks who are trying to run a shortened version of our clubs. We have folks who like to do this in the summer, kind of run it for about 2 weeks, cover lots of curriculum and information in a shorter amount of time. So you'll have access to both of those formats within our curriculum. And as I mentioned, as an added bonus, we give all clubs free swag. So once you've enrolled your club's members on our learning platform, Girls Who Code HQ, each member is eligible to receive a free Girls Who Code swag pack. This includes a t-shirt, a notebook, a sticker, and a bonus tote bag, thanks to our partnership with ICfL. In addition to our popular Girls Who Code t-shirt incentive, we're also excited to have the Clubs Fund. So although free t-shirts and swag are a great way for clubs to build community, we want to specifically support facilitators in purchasing items that will make facilitation easier and engage their students. We understand that high quality curriculum materials alone are not enough for many schools and communities, so we want to go above and beyond to ensure that clubs have the resources they need to succeed. So all clubs need to do to qualify for the $300 clubs fund is have at least 3 members signed up in HQ. Once that third member is enrolled, the facilitator will automatically be sent instructions on how to submit their Amazon wish list to us for fulfillment. And this is the same criteria as the free t-shirt incentive. So by enrolling members, clubs are going to qualify for not just the swag, but also the Great Clubs Fund incentive. So you might be wondering how to start a club. Clubs are started by an adult completing the application on HQ. The application will collect key contact information and confirms that the applicant has all the components required to start a club. Those are space to host the club, technology for members to use for our 6th through 12th grade clubs, and an adult to lead the weekly sessions. So if you're ready to sign up for clubs, here's how. You can access the clubs application at girlswhocode.com/clubsapply and sign up for our HQ program platform. And you'll want to make sure and indicate that you're interested in starting a club. Just by creating an HQ login, you'll even be able to preview the curriculum before you apply. Then you'll fill out the quick application, which should only take 5 to 10 minutes. You'll want to make sure and select ICfL as your community partner. And then after your application is approved, you'll gain access to our complete curriculum and resources on our HQ platform. And then once you're ready, you can launch your club at any point during the school year. So for example, if you wanted to apply for a club today, you could totally do that. But let's say you're not ready to start it until October or even January, that's fine. You could go ahead and apply and then launch later on. I will go through a more in-depth walkthrough. I know that was quick, but there's a much more in-depth one coming soon. So let's see. I encourage you guys to either scan the QR code or go to girlswhocode.com/clubsapply, which I will drop in the chat. Okay. And this will allow you to start getting access to our free resources. Like I said, I'm also going to walk through the application. But first, I'd love to take a second and pause to see if there are any questions about anything that I've shared so far. And I can start by addressing a few questions that were already shared. So, would it be possible to do a club in a school library? The answer is yes. Girls Who Code clubs can be hosted at any public, nonprofit, or community center. Other examples of places you can host a Girls Who Code club include a school computer lab, public universities, public libraries, community centers, and tax-exempt faith-based organizations or other nonprofits. Another question that we had, do I have to limit participation to just girls or non-binary youth? The short answer is all genders are welcome at Girls Who Code. While our programs are designed for female participants, regardless of gender assignment at birth or legal recognition, we encourage our clubs to welcome any member who wishes to join the Girls Who Code mission, irrespective of their gender identity. Girls Who Code does take a gender-specific approach to our programming. So this means that the programming does keep the focus on girls and considers the biases that might impact their experience. Girls Who Code delivers this by providing girls with safe, girl-focused spaces and centering curriculum on women in tech so that girls can imagine themselves in computing roles. However, any member, regardless of gender identity, who wishes to support our mission is encouraged to join our sisterhood. And the last question that we had previously given was, what type of devices or tech are needed to run a club? Desktops, laptops, or Chromebooks are all great options to use to run our curriculum. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to share them in the chat or come off mute. And then after we have some time for questions, I'll jump into a walkthrough of how to get signed up.
Can you talk a little bit more about the book club model for 3 to 5 or third grade to fifth grade? And like where those books might be procured, and which books are being used?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we use 2 books. One is called Learn to Code and Change the World. It's kind of more of a nonfiction book. And then The Friendship Code is the other book. And the way it works is we provide chapter guides and discussion questions. So that's already broken up for facilitators. They can use that material to read those sections with their students and then participate in the discussion questions. We provide an ebook copy so that it could be projected, or if each student does have their own device, they can look at it that way. Otherwise, we encourage folks to check out the books from their libraries, which you guys might have access to them already. And we also have folks who use that clubs fund if they want to purchase like a class set of the books. They can be purchased from anywhere that you might buy books. And then I see we have a question. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, from the chat, can you use MacBooks?
Yes, that is a great question. And yes, MacBooks can be used as well. Do you require, and we have another question. Do you require some kind of feedback after a program has been implemented? So we will be checking in with you throughout the club. You'll have access to the regional retention specialist, who is your main contact person to answer your questions or help you if you run into any roadblocks. I believe they also will send, a survey at the end of the club to see how things went. So it's your choice if you'd like to answer those. But yeah, we'll provide surveys to kind of try to gather some feedback just to see how it went and see if there's anything we can do better.
And the ICfL won't require any type of feedback as part of this partnership. So you won't see anything from me that's like, fill out my evaluation, please, because I know you see enough of that. But I do like to check in with people in person as I see them out and about at trainings throughout the year, just to kind of see what's working, what isn't working. It's just good feedback for our continued partnership. And improvements have been made over the years by people saying, oh, this part worked for me and this part didn't. So I will check in informally, but don't worry, you won't have another thing to do for the ICfL.
Yeah, these are all great questions. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now I'll walk through the application in a bit more detail. So if you are ready to join today, you can feel free to scan that QR code or navigate to girlswhocode.com/clubs-apply, which is in the chat, but I can drop it in there again so it's easy to access. Okay, so the very first step is registering for HQ. The link is, let me add that one too, just so you have them both. When you navigate to the HQ website, you'll be asked for some basic information like your name and birthday to create an account and get started. So just by taking this very first step, you would be able to go in and preview all the curriculum before you even sign up. Next, you're going to click the green Apply button in the top right corner of the screen. And from here, you're able to start a new Girls Who Code club or apply to facilitate an existing club. I would think for most everyone on today's call, you'd be choosing that first option to start a new Girls Who Code club. Next, you will then be prompted to share or to answer a few general questions about yourself and where you're planning to host your club. If you're starting your club at a school library, you would choose a K through 12 school. If you're starting your club at a public library, you will select that option. If you're going to run your club at a school library, you're going to indicate the type of school that you work at, so public or private, and then you'll enter the zip code where your school is located. Your school should then appear on the drop-down menu for you to select. If you're going to run your club at a public library or community center, you'll be prompted to enter the address of the site. So you might be wondering how exactly you indicate that your club is affiliated with the Idaho Commission for Libraries. There will be a question on the application that asks if you are affiliated with a Girls Who Code community partner. You'll be able to select Idaho Commission for Libraries from a drop-down menu. And if you forget to do this, it's no problem. You can just email us at Girls Who Code and let us know, and we can make sure that your club is counted as part of this network. Next, you'll be prompted to share when you plan to start your club. And knowing when you plan to have your first session will let our team know when we should check in and make sure that you have everything you need before and after your first meeting. So if you're not 100% sure when your first meeting would be, that is totally fine. The first meeting date can always be updated if anything changes. So we just want you to make an estimate, and if it changes, just let us know. And then the last step of the application process is to sign the participation agreement. The participation agreement should be signed by an employee representative of the club's host site. If you are unable to sign the Girls Who Code participation agreement, you'll be prompted to list the name and contact information of a signatory on the application. And upon application submission, Girls Who Code will send an email to this representative on your behalf with a link to sign the agreement. And then after you submit your application and it's approved, you'll receive a confirmation email within 24 hours with your club's unique club code. This code will also appear in your HQ homepage, and that's where you can access all of our coding tutorials and resources. You'll also get access to a facilitator toolkit where you'll find everything to help you prepare for your first club meeting. That club code is also what you will use when you start enrolling your students into the clubs program. So that's a quick walkthrough of how you can apply. I'd love to take our last couple of minutes to answer any additional questions that you all might have. I really appreciate you joining today to learn more about Girls Who Code and our free programs. And I hope that you feel empowered to launch a club in your own community. I'll also add my email address to the chat, or you could take a picture of this slide in case you think of questions later. You can feel free to reach out to me or access any of these additional resources on this slide, but I will also add them all to the chat. And I see we had a question come through, which I will answer. So this is a program with a set of learning lessons like a course, and the participants finish at the end. Or is it an ongoing program that participants can continue to participate in throughout middle school? That's a great question. So we definitely have students who are participating in the clubs year after year, especially once they get to that older 6th through 12th grade club, because it becomes more kind of self-paced in a way where students are able to move ahead at their own levels and work on those projects that they are passionate about. So they can definitely continue to participate year after year. With the 3rd through 5th, it is a bit more like lessons, I guess, where it would be important for a student to, try to be there every week, because they're going to be reading those books and doing those basic activities. But they can continue to participate year after year. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think the one thing is that it can really grow with the kids as they grow in their own knowledge, especially if they're choosing their own projects to work on. Like we saw some of the girls creating the app to help other kids tell their stories about being involved in a natural disaster. like maybe you work on that for 1 year and then the next year that inspires you to do something else, where you still have the framework of the club to kind of guide your learning, but you're learning different things based on sort of your own interests or the interests of your community.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that, Jennifer. Yeah, definitely.
I've seen a couple of clubs in action, and what I really thought was helpful was to have that step-by-step facilitation guide to kind of guide you through what sort of an icebreaker welcoming type community building activity would be. And then watching one of the videos and having a discussion about it. A lot of times we like to dive in to the learning, but in a way, doing the video first kind of makes you reflect a little bit about, it primes you for the learning. And then there's like an activity, it could be an offline activity without technology, or sometimes you could, with the younger kids, you could also integrate Scratch, which I think a lot of you are familiar with, to learn some maybe more like literal coding skills. And then you have this reflection at the end. If you are used to running a program for kids, I think it'd be not that difficult to dive in, and it's all guided and created for you. So the biggest thing is making sure that your video plays, which can be hard sometimes.
Yes, as we saw today. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else have questions or thoughts about anything that I've shared? No. Yeah, so Gina asked, are the videos accessible online? So we have a lot of videos that can be accessed directly from YouTube. The example that we shared from the Donnelly Library, some of the videos she was accessing are just from our Girls Who Code YouTube channel. And then the Girls Who Code Tech Spotlights for the 6th through 12th grade clubs, where they watch a video, read about this person, and then engage in discussion questions. Those will be accessible through our HQ platform, which, yes, that is online.
Any other questions for Megan?
Ooh, that's a good question. Gina asked if older students can communicate with other high school students. Are you referring to like from other clubs? Yes. If it's okay with you, I'd like to double check on this one. I know with our summer programs, the answer is yes. They participate in a Discord where they can talk with each other. I want to double check on the clubs aspect, but I can respond to Jennifer and she can let you know, or you can share your email, whichever you're more comfortable with.
We haven't really had any takers for the summer immersion program in Idaho yet. I am hopeful that someday we will, but I think that one's a really great one for older kids who are really ready to maybe spend a summer immersing themselves in the Girls Who Code experience. And once you're kind of on the, like you're plugged in with the organization, you'll receive a lot of great emails about inspirational stories from kids who have gone through the program before and what they're doing now and the success of it. So there's just so much that we can't cover in an hour. I will say that once you create that login and you're able to look at the curriculum, that is probably a good indication about how if you're going to feel comfortable facilitating or not. You do not have to actually be the facilitator, though. If there's someone in your community who would be a good fit, then you can reach out to a community member or a volunteer as well, which I know some libraries in our state have done.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you have, a high school student who's super interested in it and wants to take the responsibility, they could also lead a club, and then you could just be the supervisor. So your student could run, all of the club meetings and all of that. You would just need to be there to serve as the person who's over the age of 18.
Yeah, I mean, once again, if you're looking for a program in a box, maybe you spent your whole summer doing summer programs and you just need something that you can implement without doing very much, then this might be a good fit. It's also free, so it's something you could try out. And if it doesn't work out in your community or it's not the right time, you can try it again with a different group of kids at another time. And we've had libraries who have taken a couple of times to try before it really caught on and they really figured out the best way to implement it in their space. So the great thing is that the tool is available for you.
Yeah, and in addition to all that Jennifer just shared, you can also get that $300 Amazon fulfillment from us, as long as you have 3 members enrolled. So that's another great benefit this year. And then you can use that money to, purchase anything you might need to make your club even better.
You know that there's hardly ever funding for snacks.
True.
All right. Well, I'm going to thank Megan and stop the recording. Thank you, Megan.